Alright guys, so it's been like 5 or 6 months since I did a best way to watch the MCU. I've gotten a ton of comments asking to do a new one because there's a lot more movies now, and you know what? I did it! I updated that. Here is the best way to watch everything canon in the MCU. Oh, and spoiler free until the end. Let's unlock Disney. Before I get into anything, I just want to thank everybody for the support to the channel and to the initial video of the best way to watch the MCU. It's over 50,000 views, and it was like 6 months ago, and just tons of feedback and comments. And I'm really grateful for all that. So let's keep it rolling. Let's do this. All right, going to stick to the same rules as last time. So this is going to be spoiler free. Obviously, there's minor spoilers because if we're talking about the 20th movie to watch and you see somebody in there, I mean, you know what I mean. But if you haven't watched these before, this is really set up for people that haven't watched these. And I wouldn't be watching this entire video if you haven't watched all the movies. Just watch it in order as you go. The movies and TV shows that I picked are movies and shows that have direct connection to the MCU timeline. Meaning every single MCU movie obviously is in here. Every Disney Plus show is obviously in here. They are all tied together. What I don't have in here is like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or all the other side movies, or I mean the side shows and things like that. Because yes, they are connected to the MCU, but the MCU movies are not connected to them. Okay, we can argue about this like we did in the last video, but it's the truth. So having said all that, here is the best way to watch all that is the MCU. And up first, Iron Man. Iron Man is what started it all. Quick story, I was a comic book geek as a kid, so when I heard that Iron Man was going to be a movie, I went nuts. And just let it be known, Iron Man was not a known character when they were making the movie. Like, he wasn't Spider-Man or anything like that. But as a kid, he was one of my guys. So Iron Man is just what starts everything off with the MCU. And Robert Downey Jr. is just gold. They could not have built the MCU off of a better actor. Next we have The Hulk. So The Hulk, I think, is a great movie. The problem is that Edward Norton was in it, and then he got recasted afterwards because Edward Norton wanted all kinds of writing credit and wanted to do all kinds of... It was like, just stop it. Stop. So Hulk was the second movie, and there's a weird thing because it's actually owned by Universal, but it was still a part of the MCU, and there's actually future things that Hulk can only be in movies, but he can't have a solo movie. Otherwise, it'll be owned by Universal and not Disney. It's a weird thing. But Hulk in itself, I really thought was a pretty good movie. A lot of people tend to skip this because of the recasting when they go through and watch all the movies again. I say do not skip this movie. Watch the movie, because even now in the Marvel Universe, there's connective tissue to this movie. Next, we have Iron Man 2. So Iron Man 2 picks up right at the end of Iron Man 1. Iron Man 2 is probably my least favorite Marvel movie, but it's like saying, you know, who's your least favorite kid? And it's still a great movie, but it's kind of my least favorite, but it's still pretty awesome. I think that makes sense, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, you hear the thunder. So Thor. Now Thor enters the MCU. Thor, awesome movie. Funny as a kid. I couldn't stand Thor in the comics. And even when the movie started, I wasn't a big Thor fan, but his arc is pretty good. Pretty good. That's as much of a spoiler as I'm giving.
His fate is in his own hands now.
Next, we have Marvel's golden boy, Captain America. So if we were to be putting all these movies in order as far as time, this half of this movie would be the first movie to watch, but that's not what we're doing. This is definitely the best order that I'm giving you to watch all these in. So anyway, Captain America, awesome. He's really like the golden boy of the MCU. You know, the all-American, I'll fight for everybody, fight for freedom kind of guy.
What made you so special?
Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn.
So the sixth movie in the MCU, The Avengers. This is the movie that kind of changed, it really changed the way movies are put together. This had never been done before. It just didn't make sense to put all these different movies and have them all connected. And Avengers did it brilliantly. So this was really the first time all the heroes get together, but it is not going to be the last time.
Dr. Banner, your work is unparalleled, and I'm a huge fan of the way you lose control and turn into an enormous green rage monster.
Thanks.
Our first movie after The Avengers is Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 critically was looked down upon, but I think as time has gone on, people have liked it a lot more. I really like it. It's probably my favorite Iron Man movie, so there's that.
Lesson number 1. Heroes. There is no such thing.
Next, we have Thor 2, Thor the Dark World. Thor the Dark World, I feel like I'm saying a few times now, like, this isn't the best movie in the MCU. Iron Man 2, Thor 2 are probably my two least favorite. But like I said before, it's like, you know, your two least favorite kids. There's no such thing, right? So it's still a great movie. And I promise you, there is no other movie all the way through here where I will say, this movie was except for one much later on. I promise.
You must be truly desperate to come to me for help.
You should know that when you betray me, I will kill you.
When do we start?
Next, we have the newest installment up to date of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So Guardians of the Galaxy have not been brought up yet in the MCU, and they're kind of off in space, kind of opens up some new doors in the MCU. Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, after Guardians of the Galaxy 1, you actually could just watch the second one because they don't really connect yet to the other MCU movies. So it's, you know, whatever you want to do. But I would just watch the first one right now and watch the second one a little later. Moving on to our 10th movie, I believe. Captain America 2. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Crazy, crazy good movie. So stinking good. And as I've been saying, this is spoiler free, so I'm not getting into any detail. But Captain America, the Winter Soldier, a great movie. Also a great movie that can stand alone outside of the MCU. It's just, it's good. That's all I got.
Keep both eyes open. Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
And it looks like it's time to bring the team back together. We have Avengers Age of Ultron. So this is the second Avengers movie. And again, awesome. And this is another one of those movies that was not looked at as like great at the time, but over time it really connects a lot of the future of the MCU, and I like it. I like it a lot. Marvel now introduces Ant-Man Ant-Man's played by Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is hilarious. Love that guy. And it's kind of Marvel's first kind of action comedy. So it's taken another spin. The MCU really grows throughout all these movies. So, you know, they're going to take a little shot at action comedy. Or comedy action. However you prefer to say it.
My days of breaking into places and stealing stuff are over. What do you want me to do?
I want you to break into a place and steal some stuff.
Makes sense.
Next, we have the third installment of Captain America. It's Captain America Civil War. A lot of people like to call this Avengers 2.5 because there's a lot of people in this movie. But it's Captain America Civil War, the third Captain America.
Final warning.
I could do this all day.
On the roost!
Hey everyone.
Next, we have Doctor Strange. So a few of these movies now are going to be mixed up a little bit opposed to what their theatrical release was, just for watching reasons. But Doctor Strange, really good. This is his first movie. And you also, before Doctor Strange, you could watch the Black Widow movie because as far as a timeline, it goes there. But I would wait for Black Widow.
I've spent so many years peering through time. Looking for you.
So now we have Guardians of the Galaxy Part 2. I know I said before that you could watch it a little earlier. You can, but this is where it would fall in pretty nicely. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, again, is a lot of fun. It's a really wackadoo type movie, but it's a lot of fun.
Does anybody have any tape out there? I want to put some tape over the death button. Nobody has any tape. Not a single person has tape. You have an atomic bomb in your bag. If anybody's gonna have tape, it's you. I have to do everything. You are wasting a lot of time.
That's a really bad sign.
And now we have the one and only, with his first MCU movie, Spider-Man. So this is the first time Spider-Man has his own movie in the entire MCU. Yes, he's been in the Sonyverse, but Marvel is not allowed to do a movie with Spider-Man, even though Spider-Man's Marvel. It's ridiculous, but as far as the movie contract, Marvel could not use Spider-Man, but Marvel, Disney, Sony, working together, worked out a nice little deal. They get to use Iron Man in a movie, we get Spider-Man, and now, as you probably know, Spider-Man is a fixture in the MCU. So, I don't care what kind of deal they have, as long as Spider-Man stays in the MCU. I will be more than happy.
Right up there! The guy is still out there. I just gotta do this on my own.
After watching Spider-Man, I would head over to Black Panther. Black Panther is just an epic movie. It's so good and ties into everything so nicely. But Black Panther is another movie that, even if you weren't following all the Marvel movies, it's a movie that can stand on its own because it's that good.
The revolution will not be televised.
Show me my respect and bow down. We own ya. We own ya. We only getting started now. Cause we own ya. Everybody think they know me now. Cause we own ya. You and I'm a homie now. Cause we own ya.
We now have Ant-Man back for his second movie, and it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. Here's where things get kind of tricky. So every Marvel movie, as you have seen, has a post-credit or two, end of the movie credit scenes. Ant-Man and the Wasp also has an after-credit scene. Do not watch it. If you're following the movies in this order, don't watch the after-credit scene yet, because this movie fell in a weird time when they released it, and that post-credit scene will give away something in a future movie. So don't watch the post-credit scene of this movie, but watch Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I was partnered with Hank on a project called Goliath.
How big did you get?
My record, 21 feet. You?
65 feet.
65.
If you two are finished comparing sizes,
65.
We are now up to movie 20. So another thing I'm kind of moving out of place. Our 20th movie is Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel technically doesn't come out for a little bit later than this, but it's a prequel, and I would say to watch it here because you do not want to mess up what I call like the trinity of MCU movies that are coming up after this. So Captain Marvel, I wasn't that big on. I mean, as I've watched it a few more times, I've liked it more and more as I've watched it, but I don't know, it just didn't do it for me. But again, it's still really good.
I'm not what you think I am.
For our next movie, and when I was saying like the holy trinity of MCU movies, Thor Ragnarok, Thor 3 goes right into Avengers Infinity War. Infinity War goes right into Avengers Endgame. So I love to keep these three movies back to back to back.
Hi there.
We now get to Avengers Infinity War. So, I'm sure you've heard, if you haven't watched these movies, you've heard of Infinity War. Avengers Infinity War goes right into Avengers Endgame. These are the two, I would easily say the two biggest money-making movies in the MCU, but just put together, they are both amazing, amazing movies. It starts with Avengers Infinity War, and then we'll hit up Endgame.
Evacuate the city. Engage all defenses. And get this man a shield.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe. But this does put a smile on my face.
Next, we have Avengers Endgame. Endgame is the pinnacle of the MCU. This movie is so good that at the end of it, I'm just like, I don't know where you go from here. And they went pretty far from there, but Endgame is just amazing. And also real fast, earlier when I said you couldn't watch the Ant-Man and Wasp post-credit, you can watch it before watching this movie. So Avengers Endgame, just perfect movie. A perfect movie.
This is the fight of our lives.
this is gonna work, Steve.
I know it is. Because I don't know what I'm gonna do if it doesn't.
Everybody's favorite wall crawler is back, and for his second movie in the MCU, we have Spider-Man Far From Home. This movie also kicks butt, and it's also the first view we get of everything after Endgame. Again, there's no spoilers in this video, so I'm not going to talk about anything. But after Endgame, people wonder where are all the movies going to go, and it just keeps going up. Great movie, Spider-Man Far From Home.
Are you going to step up or not?
All right, we're 25 movies in. Next, we have Black Widow. So Black Widow is really a prequel. Most of the movie picks up after Captain America Civil War, so that's also a place you can watch it. But right here is a good spot to watch it. So Black Widow, pretty cool. Finally getting her own movie, and she deserves it. We have now reached the part of the MCU where Disney Plus starts getting involved. So Marvel started making TV shows on Disney Plus, and they all tie in to all the movies. So it's all one big happy family. And WandaVision is the first installment on Disney Plus, and it did not disappoint. WandaVision to me is so good. So good. A lot of people didn't like it at first. It takes a couple episodes to get into, but man is it good.
unusual couple, you know?
Oh, I don't think that was ever in question.
After WandaVision, we now jump into Falcon and the Winter Soldier, another Disney Plus show that ties into the MCU canon. And parts of it, really solid. Other parts of it, I was like, I mean, it's worth a watch, but it's probably my least of all the Disney Plus shows.
Hello, girl, kick your ass.
Next, we have another Disney Plus show, and it's Loki. Loki's just dope. I mean, Loki is so good, and this show is great and really kind of changes the way the MCU is going to be from this moment on. Loki, well worth a watch.
You could possibly manipulate me. I'm 10 steps ahead of you.
You're not big on trust, are you?
Man, I did love Loki. So in trying to think of where What If fits, I would put it right after Loki. Loki really goes into multiverse type stuff, and I really feel What If is just everything played out in other universes, to be quite honest. What If was an amazing comic. It's just what if something happened instead of this, and how would that universe play out?
Where you want to be? That's the question, isn't it?
Every universe is different. Each one unique.
Next up, we have Shang Chi. So Shang Chi is a movie that I kind of went into thinking it'll be like, you know, whatever. It's MCU, so it's going to be good. But I kind of had my doubts. And you know what? My doubts were dumb to have, because it was really good. Really, really good. Shang-Chi is really good. I hope you like my in-depth review there. So now we're up to The Eternals. The Eternals is a movie that is kind of a prequel to everything in the world. So if you've gone through all of the MCU and you want to start over again but do it like chronologically, this would be the one you start with. But definitely don't start with this one.
Ended when you said good.
Okay, so after Eternals, we have some things to talk about. So I said all this is definite MCU canon. However, the next movie is going to be Spider-Man No Way Home. But before watching that, you probably should watch Marvel's Netflix shows Daredevil and The Defenders. Again, I don't want to get into spoilers, but there are some characters that show up. Having said that, the characters that show up from those Marvel Netflix shows doesn't necessarily mean it's the same person. Kind of like J. Jonah Jameson is in the Sonyverse and in Spider-Man in the MCU as the same actor, but it's not the same J. Jonah Jameson. I think I'm making that clear. So the characters we have seen in the MCU after in Spider-Man No Way Home and another thing may just be the same actors in a different universe. But if you want to have reference to who these characters are, I'd watch Marvel's Netflix Daredevil, and I'd also watch Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man movies, all Sony movies, because you've seen trailers, I'm sure, but for the Spider-Man movie, you know that some old villains show up. Again, they're not part of the MCU. They're visiting from another universe. I honestly... Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange team up in this one, and I could not be more pumped for a movie. I am giddy just thinking about it, And we're messing with the multiverse, so anything can happen. Again, no spoilers. No spoilers.
You're flying out into the darkness to fight ghosts.
What do you mean?
They all die fighting Spider-Man. It's their fate.
All right, guys. So Disney Plus hits us with another installment, Hawkeye. Everybody's favorite man with a bow and arrow gets his own show on Disney Plus.
This is too dangerous. Definitely not this one.
You don't have to say definitely like that. Holy shit! There are arrows more dangerous than that one?
After Hawkeye, I would jump to Moon Knight. Moon Knight is on Disney Plus. Moon Knight, I really enjoyed. It's not, there's nothing in there that kind of connects to the other shows or the other movies. So watching it here is fine, or watching it after Multiverse of Madness. Either way, Moon Knight, pretty solid.
Thank you.
Lost the contact lens.
Hope you find it.
Thanks.
We now have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I love this movie. This movie is so good. So good. So this kind of picks up after the events of WandaVision. And also Doctor Strange is picking up from Spider-Man No Way Home. And it is a solid movie. Solid movie.
Between universes. And we don't know who or what will walk through it. Wanda. I'm sorry, Stephen.
Next on the list, we have Disney Plus' very own Miss Marvel. I kind of like the direction they went with Miss Marvel. It's not the same as the comics, and yet it is very much like the comics. I am interested to see how they use her in the future, because we know that in the future she's going to be in the Marvels movie with Captain Marvel. So, pretty excited to see where they go with that.
I'm a superhero.
And finally, every single MCU decision has brought you to this point to see Thor: Love and Thunder. The previews look great. It looks like a lot of fun. I'm pretty pumped to see it. I will be seeing it very shortly, and I cannot wait to be talking about it later. Thor: Love and Thunder is next.
After all that, he reclaimed his title as the one and only Thor. Oh, spoke too soon.
Jane?
All right, guys. That is what I feel to be the best way to watch all of the MCU in order. Now, in the description, I have other things added in there. I have some, the one-shots are in there and some other things here and there. But everything is broken down in the description if you want to bounce back and forth. The future of the MCU is looking great with She-Hulk coming, Blade, Black Panther, a number of different things. I can't wait to add all that stuff in there. And, you know, I was going to say that I was going to give some spoilers. We're not going to talk spoilers. I want to keep this safe for people that want to get into the MCU and have never had the opportunity and didn't really know where to start or, you know, what to watch. I'm going to keep it spoiler-free, even at the end here. I look forward to talking to you in the comments. Let me know what's up.